Hello, everybody. Welcome to Zone Defense. We talk all things NBA and NFL. Be sure to follow us on Spotify, Zone Defense Podcast, on Twitter at Zone Defense Pod, and hit that subscribe button down below because it really helps out our channel a lot. Also, leave a comment and let us know who your Super Bowl picks are at the midway point of the NFL season. Today, we'll be doing our Week 11 NFL game picks, and it is a very special episode. As for the first time ever, we have a guest host, Mr. Jordan Curdy, filling in for Roman, as well as Chris. So how's it going, guys?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's going on? Pleasure having Jordan on for this episode. He's a great addition to the team, just an absolute star-studded podcast guest.
Appreciate that, man. I really do.
Yeah, let's dive down the love fest right now. So let's get into the news and notes here, Chris.
All right, yeah, I'll run through this really quick. We had some injuries, a few of them. Robert Woods out for the season, torn ACL. CMC, which I don't even think he's hurt. It was something with his head, but he's fine. Julio Jones, 3-week IR, hamstring injury. Cordero Patterson's game time decision with the ankle injury, and then we had I believe JJ Watt had a shoulder injury, if I'm not mistaken. He might miss some time. Bud Dupree, and then as well as Chase Young, who is out for the season with an ACL injury. That's the Woods and Young ones, obviously the big ones, but other than that, it was a pretty light week for injuries. And then we could talk about, Cam Newton's back, had a good first game. He should start this week too, I would expect. He looked good, I thought, in his couple plays against the Cardinals, and they just absolutely bludgeoned the 8-1 Cardinals last week. It was just it was absolutely awful. But are the Patriots back? I think it's obvious, yes. I mean, this is a team that's been winning a lot of games lately. They have Tom Brady. I mean, Mac Jones now taking over. Guy's an absolute superstar, and they look good, man. Their defense, a running game, Jones was like 19 for 22 with like 3 touchdown passes. A great game for him. Just a good team overall. And honestly, what would be better than a Tampa Bay New England Super Bowl in the for this year? That'd be insane, man. That would just be absolutely awesome. But speaking of that, we can all go through this together. We have our midseason Super Bowl predictions. I believe Roman had the Cowboys and Ravens, which is an interesting one. I'll go through mine. I think the Chiefs are going to get back, man. I really do. I think it's going to be Chiefs Packers. That's my prediction. I think both teams are really good. If the Packers can get Aaron Jones back, which he should have been on there as well. Julio and Aaron Jones both should have been on here. He's going to miss some time. But I got Chiefs Packers. Jordan, what's your prediction, man?
You know what? I'm going to be a little bit out there. I'm going to go Cardinals Ravens.
All right.
I think if Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins just decide to be healthy for once for like a while, it's rough because they're on my fantasy team as well, and I'm struggling a little bit, but
that's putting it lightly.
That's putting it very lightly. But no, I think Kyler and D-Hop, they're one of the best duos in the league. It's not even a question. And I definitely think the Cardinals have one of the better overall teams in the league to make the Super Bowl. And the Ravens, they're just good. I mean, their defense, even without Marcus Peters, their number 2 corner, was it Arnett?
Something like I'm not sure, but yeah, they got some. They're down some guys in the secondary.
They're still down some guys, but they're still winning games. They're still doing well. And when you have a kicker still kicking 66-yard game winners, it was a couple weeks ago. But anything could happen. But I have Baltimore and the Cardinals. Yeah,
those are all good picks. But I just can't get this matchup out of my mind. I think it's going to be Texans-Lions in the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a really interesting matchup.
Yeah.
Okay, all jokes aside, I'm going with I think I'm going to go Cardinals too. I think last year they kind of made this mistake where they were really good, and then Kyler got a little banged up, and they left him in there for too long. And I think they're learning from their mistakes this year, and they're keeping him out. I think he probably could have played last week if he really wanted to, but they're doing the smart move. They know they're going to make the playoffs. They're most likely going to win the division, especially with the Rams kind of falling apart here. Well, not really falling apart, but at least not playing as well as they used to be.
No.
Also, what Kelly Stafford threw a pretzel at some fan as well.
I could not believe that.
It's just falling apart.
Heard about that.
That's crazy, man.
It's not that surprising, judging by some of the things she'd said here in Detroit. But Detroit is not the media market LA is, obviously. But anyway,
Right.
Arizona, I think they're doing the right thing. They know they're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to peak at the right time, unlike what they did last year. And I think they're going to be the NFC rep, even though I think the Green Bay Packers are still, and the Cowboys, so I think both of them could easily make it as well.
Right.
AFC is where it gets a little tougher for me. I feel like there's not like a clear-cut dog in there. I like the Chiefs. I like the Ravens, but I'm going to give a shout out to the Tennessee Titans, who they just find a way to win, you know? I know they got a bunch of injuries, but I feel like they have a really easy schedule down the stretch. They can rest some guys. Hopefully they get some of these guys back come playoff time, especially if they get that number 1 seed and get the bye for the first week of the playoffs. Give me the Titans. Give me Titans Cardinals, which would be kind of crazy, but I don't know. I want to go a little off the board here for this one.
Yeah, I would say the number one thing for a Super Bowl contender is to have Adrian Peterson be your starting running back. I mean, that's just the absolute key to winning a Super Bowl.
He's an MVP. He's an
I think
MVP.
Foreman's getting more of the touches now.
Yeah, no, he definitely is. Yeah,
I tried getting him, but Kibby got $20 on him. I was not happy.
Yeah, I was also in the market to get Foreman on the waiver wire. We may be talking about him later. A spoiler alert there, but I just figured since we went over the Super Bowl picks, we don't have it on there. But let me get your guys, starting with Jordan. Let me get your guys' MVP picks really quick. I'm putting you on the spot, Jordan. Who do you think's going to win the MVP?
Ooh,
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff, T.J. Hawkinson,
Mason Rudolph.
I would say that was one of the worst games I think I've ever seen in my life. But I don't know. Like I want to say Kyler, but obviously he's just missed too many games.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is always an option. Tom Brady's always an option. Even though he had a rough week last week.
He sure did.
It is kind of tough right now, I would say.
There's not really a clear favorite,
There's no clear favorite in my opinion. But if I had to actually pick one, I mean, you still got Dak, and you got it's tough. But I'm gonna be
Jared Goff.
I'm gonna be a little subtle here. Just pick a not really safe answer, but I'm gonna go with Tom Brady.
All right.
I think he's having a good year. He's still top 5 in yards, top 5 in touchdowns. They're winning games. I mean, it's really not a bad bet. So I'll go with Tom Brady.
Yeah, Drew, let's hear yours, man.
Yeah, so I was kind of looking at Tom Brady as well, but I'm not going to just copy Jordan's. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with a guy who I don't like. I've probably ripped on him more than any player any player this season, and that's the Lion King himself, Matthew Stafford with the Rams. He's got over 3,000 passing yards so far in the year, which is I didn't realize that. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's had some interceptions the last couple of weeks, which isn't great, but he still only has 8 interceptions. You look at Tom Brady, I think he's got 7. So that's not obviously not that big of a difference. He's got 24 touchdowns to Brady's 28, which is a little bit lower, obviously. But I think the Rams, I think, especially if the Cardinals keep resting their guys, it wouldn't surprise me if the Rams are able, even though I just trashed them 2 seconds ago. Even if they're able to kind of keep it together a little bit, I feel like the Rams could pass them, and then Stafford would get a lot of MVP buzz there. But it's a really tough race. I feel like last year there was clear-cut guys, and this year it's just, even Lamar Jackson, I don't know if we've mentioned him yet. He could easily win it as well. But Chris, who do you like?
Yeah. And of course, you had to say it at the end because that was my MVP pick. Only has 14 touchdowns, 8 interceptions this year, which I think he needs to pick up the touchdown rate a little bit. He also only has 2 on the ground, so I guess maybe you could look at that and be like, yeah, he doesn't have the stats to get it done, but he's got 2,400 passing yards under 600 on the ground, and I think he's just led they're 6-3 with a lot of key pieces out, and he's been the reason why. I know he really, really sucked against the Dolphins on Thursday night last week, but I think throughout the rest of the season, I think he has a chance to establish himself, especially if they, are the 1 or 2 seed in the AFC. I think, especially because they have a tough schedule down the road. They got Bears, Browns twice, Steelers, Packers, Bengals, Rams, Steelers. I think if they win that division with that schedule and he continues to play at a pretty high level, I think he absolutely has to be in the MVP conversation.
Yeah. We're also forgetting a little bit of Patrick Mahomes. Guy kind of has been erupting in the past couple weeks.
Snap this week.
Second in yards now. He has 25 touchdowns, 10 picks, so he's
not bad.
Doing well. He's second in passing touchdowns behind Brady with 27.
Feels like he's been a lot worse than he actually has been. I
think that says a lot about Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
just how good and how talented he is overall.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, It's tough because I don't like him, to be honest with you, but he's good. He's good at football. Even what the
Yes.
2 weeks ago when they almost lost that game and he made that like to the Packers and he made that sweet throw when he got like just drilled too. He's very talented, but I don't know. I feel like the Chiefs are going to make it to the Super Bowl still anyway, even though that's what we're talking about.
I
But
know.
Yeah,
Uh,
sadly, I just don't want to pick them because I'm tired of them.
I
But
just feel like all the best teams are in the NFC, so the
I,
AFC it's lackluster.
NFC is
I
more
agree with
top
that.
heavy. I think NFC is just more top heavy.
Yeah.
In my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's true. The AFC is definitely like the crappy teams are not as crappy.
Yes, I
I
agree.
agree.
100% agree.
But yeah, with that, I think we can hop into the pick'em now if you guys are ready to go.
Yep.
So, starting with the
100%.
Thursday night matchup, they were actually replaying this famous Super Bowl matchup when Chris and I were eating pizza just mere 3 hours ago together. It was the 28-3. It was Super Bowl 51-52 when Tom Brady led the Patriots back against the Falcons, and ever since then, the Falcons have just been on a downward trajectory, falling apart. But this is obviously a new Patriots team with Mac Jones. I mean, they're looking really, really good. I think the Patriots are back. I'm really excited to see how far they can go. But we'll let Jordan, the guest here, start us out with the first matchup. Who do you like between the Falcons and the Patriots?
I want to say Atlanta, but I just don't see it. I'm gonna go with New England this week against Atlanta. Do you want me to do it, or do you do it? I don't really know how
You
you
do
do
it.
this. I do it. Yeah, I'm gonna go New England this week. I would like to say Atlanta, but Calvin Ridley is not playing still, and I don't think Matt Ryan has just enough juice anymore. Mac Jones is in a good rhythm right now. New England's on a hot streak. Was it 5 wins in a row? If I'm correct,
Something like that. I think it
they're
is
on
5
a
in a row.
good win streak, and Mac Jones is just showing off his talents very well. Jacoby Myers' first touchdown last week too.
Yeah. Should have
That
been in the
is,
news and notes, to be honest.
it should have been. But no, I think the Patriots are actually a very deadly team this year. So I'm gonna go with New England.
Yeah, honestly, I'm really looking forward to watching Mac Jones play on prime time. I think he's a great quarterback, underrated. I got New England. I think they're going to win this game pretty handily. It is in Atlanta, so you have that aspect of it. I think Atlanta's a decent team. Their defense isn't quite as much of a pushover, even though last week they looked absolutely horrendous. It was just an all-around bad game, and I think New England has they're just going to – they might put all 11 defenders on Kyle Pitts this week. Honestly, I wouldn't be stunned. I mean, the rest of that roster stinks. Mike Davis sucks. If Cordero doesn't play, they really don't have any other weapons. So, yeah, New England should win this game.
I agree.
And I agree also. I don't really have too much to add. Mac Jones is really good. Patriots, they might win. They're not going to win the AFC East, but they're going to definitely be a wild card team in the playoffs, I think. No doubt about it. Next up, do we even need to talk about this game? We have the Lions, who are not going to be the first team to go 0-17 in NFL history, so that's great, but they might be the first winless team in a 17 game schedule. The Browns have a bunch of injuries. They got plowed last week, so maybe the Lions can sneak out. But, I mean, Jared Goff's banged up, and as bad as he is, I don't think Tim Boyle's any better. And you got Baker Mayfield, who's also banged up. He said he's never been this banged up ever in his history of his NFL playing career. But still, the Browns are a better team, I think. I'm just going to put my pick in here first. The Browns are going to win. Do any of you guys have anything you want to add to this game, or is this just
No.
move on to the next one?
I might add a little bit actually. I actually think Tim Boyle will do better than Jared Goff. I think he has nothing to lose. Am I wrong? He has nothing more to lose. Goff, I mean, he's garbage. Let's be honest. We all know this. He's garbage. Arguably one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life. I'm gonna go on a little rant here, so my bad. Guys, God is horrid. All right, he's just not good. I just don't get why we go in and week out and just play this guy. I really don't, because Tim Boyle is easily better in my opinion. I think Blau is.
I definitely think Blau is.
Blau, baby. Like, play him. Like, I am just sick. I am sick and tired of seeing Goff throw 20 less passes per game. TJ Hawkins is non-existent. That guy's just gone. I'm glad our running game is working well. Dan Campbell's calling the plays now. He obviously has no faith in Goff. I don't care what he says in the press. You don't say, yeah, I believe he's my quarterback, and you're calling the plays, and you throw it 20 or less times, basically.
Yeah.
He barely threw 100 yards in an overtime game. He got lucky with Khalif Raymond. just jogging down the field. What a joke of a team this year. I'm a big Lions fan too, but just what an embarrassment of a year. I still think Dan's fine. I don't blame him at all. I think Goff
Nothing he
is
can do.
1,000% the problem. I think we actually have one win, maybe two, if Goff is not our quarterback. I am dead serious. And if you disagree, I would love to have a debate about this with you, because Goff is the worst starting quarterback in the league right now. I would rather have Mike White, and Buddy's got benched for Joe Flacco.
Joe
Goff
Flacco.
is Goff. Goff
Yeah.
is bad.
Yeah, it's a nice change of pace from what we hear from Roman about the Lions, to be honest. I mean, he's always continually defending this team. And Jordan, I know when I met Jordan a few years ago, I thought he was a big time homer. But, the team's in bad shape when Jordan is willing to go on a rant like that about Jared Goff, which, I mean, nothing you said wasn't true there. I mean, the guy sucks. He's the worst starting quarterback in the league. Him and Mason Rudolph could combine their talents and still be the worst quarterback in the league. It's honestly just a sad state of the team, and Cleveland's, they're going to embarrass us this week, man. Nick Chubb's going to be back likely, and this is going to get ugly.
Can we talk about last week's game real quick too? Like, what
Go
was
for it,
that? What was that? You're telling me
How about that kick?
my dad sat on his butt on his nice little spot in his couch watching that game, and I couldn't imagine seeing him watch that game. Because I didn't even want to see it. Red Zone was just putting it on the screen because it was so excitingly awful. It was one of the worst games I think I've ever seen. Mason Rudolph deserves to go to the NFL G League, there is none. Jared Goff go to the XFL and be worse than Cardale Jones on the Warriors or something. I just don't get it. It makes zero sense how bad that game was. Diontae Johnson, how talented he is. I put that in quotes. I think he's average at best.
Yeah,
and
I hate this take.
Buddy fumbles, like, bro, hold on to the ball. Why are you trying to make so many moves? All you need to do is get in field goal range. But no, he's too cool. He's too fancy. Buddy likes to fumble. And in overtime, they snap it over Mason Rudolph's head. What was that? I was like, this game's over. Then they did that. I'm like, no. And Santos, get your little weirdo stash out of here, bro. Guy is a garbage can kicker. Should never get a job again. That was the worst kick I might have seen on a TV screen from a pro kicker since like David Akers on the Lions when he went 20 yards from a 40-yarder. It was atrocious. You look at that kick, I think it maybe got 10 feet off the ground. It felt like. I saw that. I'm like, that's not in. That's not in.
I could have kicked better than that, to be honest.
Rojas,
it was like,
oh my god,
Rojas it was low, it had no spin on it, and it was wide right. I don't really know how he could have kicked it any worse than that. And then you didn't even mention either Freiermuth just forgetting how to play football too.
Pat Freiermuth, oh my goodness.
And as bad as it was for us Lions fans, you got to be really embarrassed if you're a Steelers fan. I mean, I don't care if you're Ben Roethlisberger, who's also not that great, is out. I mean, the fact that you had that game won like 77 times, and Diontae Johnson, who's probably the most overrated receiver in the NFL, in my opinion.
Dude, he is
1,000%.
Not a question.
Fumbles it, then you got Freiermuth fumbling it, then you got snaps going over people's heads. I mean, Najee Harris was the only guy that was actually good for the Steelers, I felt like. And even he wasn't like spectacular, but he was still really good. But okay.
You're the Lions' three-headed monster RB this week, too. What was that?
Yeah.
Rojas was on the free agent list. We were sticking with Santos. That's all I got to say. What a joke. What a joke.
All right. So we can probably spend a lot of time here on the Lions.
My apologies.
Let's move it now to Colts. No, you're good. It's good. Like Chris said, it's a nice change of pace. Usually Chris and I are the more negative ones on the show. So it's nice to get a fresh face in here. All right. So now we got Colts Bills. So two teams that are good at football, I would say. And Chris, let's start us off here with the Colts and the Bills. Who do you like?
Drew, I mean, your analysis there was spot on. Both good at football. I'm going to take the Bills here at home. Honestly, I would be very inclined to go Indy here as a little bit of a change of pace. I feel like these first few have been obvious, but Indy's on the road here. If they were at home, it'd be a very different game. I think they actually would win, but in Buffalo, probably going to have some bad weather. I'm excited to see Josh Allen, light up this trash Indy secondary because they are not good.
Yeah, definitely agree.
All you, Roman. Or not Roman, Jordan. All you, man.
Should I leave? No, I'm kidding. But no, Buffalo. I'm going to take Buffalo here. Their defense is one of the top in the league, even though last time they faced a top 3 running back at the moment, he went for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, aka Derrick Henry. But Jonathan Taylor, he's still going to get 100 yards. He's probably get a touchdown or two. Carson Wentz, I think he will struggle. I think he'll probably have a pick or two here. But yeah, I think Josh Allen is going to shred the Indianapolis Colts DBs. They are atrocious as well. They're just not good. Darius Leonard, he's good, but they're not going to. Buffalo doesn't run the ball. Trust me, I have Zach Moss and Singletary. They don't run the ball. They don't even think about it. But yeah, I got Buffalo this week.
I'm gonna go with the upset here. I'm gonna pick the Colts.
Okay.
I saw this coming.
I think they're good. I don't know what that means, but I think they're good. They got a solid defense, and their secondary isn't great. But Buffalo's lost to Jacksonville, so literally anything is possible. I think. I don't think the Bills are as good as people think they are. Personally, I'm saying this, and they're probably going to blow them out this weekend. But the Colts feel like they're peaking at the right time. They do have a very favorable schedule down the stretch outside of this game. So I think this game they could get a big win, kind of carry them down the stretch. And I think they're also another team that I think is going to probably make the wild card. And I'd be very surprised if they didn't make the wild card. They just got to a really slow start. They had a really tough schedule, but now I think they're going to be in a good spot. And Carson Wentz has been looking good. Michael Pittman's been looking really good. Jonathan Taylor's been looking really good. Buffalo just looks very vulnerable. I think the Colts are going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I like that for sure. Let's move on to the next game here, Drew.
Yes, Ravens-Bears. Again, I don't want to disrespect the Bears, but I feel like this is a fairly easy matchup to pick here. So, Jordan, I think you're up. Who do you like between the Ravens and the Bears?
I'm going to take one of my Super Bowl picks, the Baltimore Ravens this week. Even though Lamar needs to take his vitamin C pills or whatever, vitamin D, whatever.
He's always sick, man.
Guy's always sick, but sick or not sick, he will shred the Bears defense, I still think. Justin Fields and Matt Nagy, they need it. Matt Nagy needs to be canned. The guy who's probably the worst head coach in the league. I think he's awful. Same with his haircut. And I just don't see the Bears doing good with Matt Nagy. Fields is fine. I think he will be good in the future, but Bears suck, and go Baltimore this week.
Yeah, I don't disagree with much there, except for I just want to say, Fields has looked a lot better the last couple of weeks. He looked good against the Steelers last week for sure. I think we're starting to see some development from him now, and I think he is going to have a nice NFL career. Hey, I was very in on him. I was never out off the train. I just figured it'd take some time for him to figure out the game, but it looks like he's starting to figure out, and he really likes Darnell Mooney, and that connection's been nice. I know Jordan is a big Darnell Mooney fan. I am as well. We're probably the two leaders of the Darnell Mooney train here. Hey, Drew's got him in his fantasy lineup this week.
I like
him
too.
So.
I do like him too.
I was traded for him, but I messed up.
Yeah, he's a good player, and those two look like they have a nice connection for years to come.
I agree.
I also agree. I think Justin Fields is looking better, but Allen Robinson. Let's just talk about him real quick. Dude sucks. He's washed. He's probably done. He's probably just retired at this point.
I don't see what happened to him, bro. Go from
bad. I just
a top 10 receiver to a top 10 borderline G League player. I don't get it. Guy averages 7 points for fantasy a week.
He's on Drew's team.
He's just bad. Yep. He's bad. Yeah, he tried to ship him off me last week. I didn't want that trash can.
You said you wanted a big name, so I was trying to give you a big name.
He's a big name, but he's also a big goose egg each week. He's just not that good.
Like Odell. Just like Odell Beckham.
Just like Odell Beckham.
And he's also on my fantasy team. But anyway, we're not talking about my fantasy team right now. But the Ravens look really good. And I do agree. I do think, as a Lions fan, I think Penei Sewell was still the right pick there over Justin Fields. But
I do not.
Justin Fields has looked really good. He's probably been, I would say, behind Mac, probably the second best quarterback in the class so far. I think he's looked better than Trevor too so far.
Definitely.
Yeah, Trevor's rough.
He's been bad.
But now we got to do another matchup here, which has got a very clear-cut favorite team. Maybe the one team worse than the Lions, the Houston Texans. And I already said the Titans I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. So I'm putting the Titans down. Jordan's already putting the Titans down. Does anybody want to add anything for this game?
Nope. Even without Derrick Henry, they're still a top team in the league, which is crazy to say because I thought they were just a running team. But, yeah, A.J. Brown's so electric. Ryan Tannehill's still a serviceable quarterback. Houston just isn't good. They're going to get shredded. Go Tennessee.
Yeah, this is an easy game again. Let's not spend any more time on this one. It's all Tennessee easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, and real quick, speaking of underperforming receivers that are on my fantasy roster, Julio Jones is also out for the next 3 weeks with on the injured reserve list. So, if people are like, "Oh man, they lost Julio," I really don't think they're going to miss him at all, and they're just going to keep on
No.
rolling. So
No.
now we've got the Packers and the Vikings. Vikings had a pretty big win last week against the Chargers, and then the Packers also came our way with a victory as well against the Seahawks with the primetime not the primetime 425 matchup. So two teams coming on a bit of a hot streak. I think the Packers are the best team here, but I would not be surprised if somebody goes Vikings. Maybe goes with the upset. So Chris, start us off here. Who do you like between these two teams?
Yeah, I'm gonna kick it off. I'm taking the Vikings here.
Okay.
They looked good last week against on the road against LA, which was a tough matchup. A good team there. Minnesota looked really good in my opinion. They said going into the week they're gonna start getting Justin Jefferson involved a little more because he didn't have a lot of targets. He had a ton last week. It looked really good with them. I thought Minnesota's defense looked pretty good as well. Green Bay did not look very good offensively, and they're down Aaron Jones. I know AJ Dillon had a really nice game, but they're down Aaron Jones. I think this is gonna be. If this was in Green Bay, I'd probably take the Packers, but it is in Minnesota. I think back home cooking for Minnesota. I think they're going to get the win.
Yeah.
Jordan?
Yeah, I hate both these teams. Not a fan of either of them, but I will be going Minnesota here as well.
Yeah.
I still think people say Green Bay's defense is solid. I don't think it's that good, to be honest. I think it's so suspect. I think their DBs are just not that good, personally. With Jair out,
back.
yeah. Well, with him, yeah, that's fine. With him back, sure, but with him out, no, garbage. I just don't think their DBs are good. Pass rush is still good. Linebackers average. Yeah, like you said about J. Jeff, they keep feeding him the ball, they will find wins. Same with Dalvin Cook. Keep giving him the ball, they will find wins. And their defense is all right, but yeah, I'll go Minnesota this week.
Man, hopefully this is just an easy way for me to make up some ground or me to extend my lead because somehow I'm in first place now for these pick'em. But I'm going Packers. I think they are. I know I said Arizona's making the Super Bowl, but I think the Packers are just an unstoppable force right now. I think AJ Dillon might be a better running back than Aaron Jones. Wow. There's a hot take. I think he looked amazing last week, and I think even if he's not better than him, they're at least pretty equal. So they're not going to really feel that loss. Devontae Adams looks rejuvenated with Aaron Rodgers as quarterback and not that bum Jordan Love. And their defense is going to do enough. They're going to overcome the injuries. And the Vikings, it's not like they're some sort of powerhouse team. They got their own issues on kind of both sides of the ball for the most part. It seems like they always are able to like do really good in the first half and they just fall apart in the second half. They didn't do it last week, so there's a chance they won't do it this week. But I don't know. I like the Packers. I was kind of on the edge, but since you guys both went Vikings, it made it pretty easy for me to go Packers. Yeah. Next up, this is the shit bowl, I guess. The Dolphins and the Jets. This is a game that I think two people might be watching. Maybe if you're from Miami or New York, but this is just a gross game. I feel like there's a clear winner, unless we got any big Joe Flacco fans. But yeah, so I'll start us off. I'm just going to put the Dolphins because I really don't want to talk about this game more than once. So I'm putting the Dolphins down. It could be close, I guess, because Dolphins are obviously not a great team, but the Jets suck. So anything you guys want to add for this game?
I got it.
Wow. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
I'm kidding. I can't even do it with a straight face. But Waddle to the very next day. Jalen Waddle is a freak, and feed him the ball. Go Dolphins.
Yes, and Chris and I actually were talking about this earlier. Myles Gaskin is good every other week. So last week
should be a big week.
Last week he sucked, so this week he's probably going to go off as well. And Tua's looked decent too.
He's back this
last
week.
Couple weeks.
He's
back. So
I think he's going to shred the Jets.
Yeah, So I think he's going to have a good game. And like you said, Jalen Waddle's been really good. He's probably the best rookie this year. Oh, Jamar Chase. Forgot about Jamar Chase.
And forgot Chase. Yeah.
And what about Devontae Smith and what about Rashad Bateman?
And
I'd rather have Waddle.
Najee Harris has been pretty good.
I think Waddle's second over Najee, but I'll keep it to myself.
Wow. All right.
I would say, yeah.
Totally
if you're looking at receivers, I think Waddle's been better than Devontae. I would agree with that.
Yes,
I can't. No.
Even Jamar's cooled off a little bit in recent weeks. He's still been really, really good.
You guys are insane.
So. I have Jamar first, but Waddle's easily second over Devontae Smith.
I just can't agree with that. But all right, let's move on to the next game.
Speaking of Devontae Smith, we've got the Eagles and the Saints. The Saints, they lost last week, but it was kind of a close game. And then the Eagles had a big upset win also. So two teams, they're just kind of the Eagles suck, but the Saints they're fighting for a playoff spot. I think they could probably get it, even though they do have some quarterback issues there now that Jameis is out and Cam Newton wasn't able to sign with them. So, yeah, I think, Jordan, you're up here. Who do you like between the Saints and the Eagles?
You know what? I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan, but I will be going with my man Trevor Siemian and the New Orleans Saints. Guy's not bad. I'm not gonna lie. Alvin Kamara's back, and
Is he?
I think he is. Yeah, and I think I mean, like Philly's defense is good, but I think New Orleans is just gonna shut down the Eagles' offense. So I will be going with New Orleans this week.
I think this is going to be an ugly game. I mean, I think I've been very impressed with Philly over the last 3 weeks. They've been trying to really establish a run, and it's helped their defense out look better. Darius Slay he had a nice scoop and score last week. It's the first time a Lions player's done it. Even a former Lions player has really done anything special this year, besides I guess Matthew Stafford as well. But I got Philly in this one, man. They're home. I think Hurts has looked good the last couple of weeks. I really think their team as a whole. They might have Miles Sanders back this week. I think that gives them extra juice on offense. And then they beat a better Saints team, in my opinion, last season with Drew Brees. I don't know if you guys remember that game, but Sanders had a monster game. He had like 115-2 against them. I know New Orleans has a great defense. They had a great defense last year. I expect this to be a low-scoring game, but I think Philly's going to win an ugly one.
You know what, Chris? You're talking me into it. I'm going Eagles too.
Yeah,
fly
baby.
Eagles fly. Yeah, this could be an easy game for Roman and Jordan to get right. But yeah, I think it's going to be an ugly game, but a very close game. It's probably going to be a game that not as bad as Pittsburgh Detroit last week, obviously, but a game where it's like really close down the stretch and you have to watch it, even though it's probably not going to be the best brand of football. But especially with Trevor Siemian, who actually, I mean, he led them down the field there, like in the fourth quarter.
He's not that bad anymore.
He got a clutch touchdown. If it wasn't for those missed extra points, they probably would have won that game, or at least it would have gone to overtime. So
I agree.
Yeah, I think it'll be really close, especially if Alvin Kamara is back. It would not surprise me in the slightest if the Saints are able to win this one pretty easily. But give me the Eagles. They've looked really good the last couple weeks. Now we've got the Washington football team, who had probably arguably the upset of the season last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, that was a really crazy game. I thought for sure they would choke, and somehow they found a way to win it. And then we have maybe also, if all their guys were healthy, the fact that the Panthers were able to go into Arizona and just smash the Cardinals. That was also very surprising as well. So two teams that aren't great, but coming off some very upset big time victories, maybe the victories of their season. So this could be a lot riding on this matchup. Could be interesting to see who wins this game. And Chris, who do you like between the Panthers and the football team?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Panthers strictly because this is a Cam Newton revenge game. I think he's going to start, and I think he's going to play well. This Washington defense is down Chase Young, their best defensive player, and they've been honestly just pure dog shit this year. Like, it's been a tough watch to watch that defense, and I don't think Taylor Heineke's good. Actually, technically, I guess this is a revenge game for him as well because he was in the Carolina organization for a little bit. But, I think for me, it comes down to Carolina having a better defense. I think this could be a good game. It could be a game Washington could upset them on the road, but both these teams kind of similar to me. I'm going to take the team that's, healthier and has the better quarterback, in my opinion. That's Cam Newton. I think he's going to have a nice game this week. Go ahead, Jordan.
I didn't know if I was next or not. But I will be going with the Washington football team and Taylor Heineke. Even though they just lost Chase Young, which does hurt. But hopefully Cam Newton throws DJ Moore a little bit more.
For your fantasy team's sake?
Yeah, for my fantasy team's sake.
It's all about you, man.
It always is. Same with Terry McLaurin. Hey, give him the ball. But I don't know. I just feel like the Washington football team is just going to be better this week, even though Carolina's defense is one of the best in the league. I think Taylor Heineke is just going to do decent this week. He has his on and off weeks. I get that, but I think he's going to do good this week. And I still think Washington defense is serviceable. I'm not even going to finish that. I can't even speak right now. But I think they'll do good enough to stop Carolina and Cam Newton. So I'll be going with Washington this week.
And you're going to be alone on that notion there, Jordan, because Carolina, their defense is like really, really good, and no one's paying attention to that. I think it's underrated how bad Tampa's defense is, and that's why they allowed Taylor freaking Heineke to just kind of shred them a little bit. So I think Carolina's defense is going to have their day with the rather weak Washington offense. And then, obviously, as you mentioned, Jordan, Chase Young's out. So I think Cam Newton and company are going to be able to kind of feast a little bit on them, even though they're still a solid defense, but they actually haven't been that great this year. So give me the Panthers. They're another team that I think could potentially sneak into the NFC playoff picture here because, as we said at the top of the show, they're very top heavy, so the middle teams aren't that great. So even though Carolina's not a great team, they could still sneak into the wild card, I think, very easily. Okay. This game, do we even have to talk about anything? I think we're all going to pick the same team. Anybody have anything they want to add to the riveting matchup between the Niners and the Jaguars?
Now, there's some
James Robinson.
Also on Jordan's fantasy team, in case you were wondering. So it's all again, it's all about Jordan's team here this week.
We haven't had a win in like 5 weeks.
Yeah. Jordan, I'll kind of summarize it really quick rather than talk about this shitty game. I don't feel like talking about it, but Jordan, he had a really good team. He drafted a great team. He's got Derrick Henry. He's got a bunch of other guys. James Robinson, another good player. Terry McLaurin, DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray. Through 5 weeks, unbelievable. I mean, me and him are in the same division. I was, I think, 4-1 at that point. We were both, hanging around each other. I was like, man, I got to get the bye from Jordan. That's all it's about. Like, he's just dominating. He's crushing everybody. And then since then, it has been an absolute disaster. I mean, he had a couple weeks where his team did nothing with his whole team, where he's scoring like 80 points and stuff. He's got all his guys. Then his guys just start getting picked off like flies. You got Terry McLaurin goes on a bye. DJ Moore just decided he's going to disappear from the game. Derrick Henry's foot injury was really the one that derailed you. James Robinson was out for a week. Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins. It's been a mess. And he's on a 5.
Kevin really wants to take
Ridley.
a break.
Yeah, so basically that's the story of Jordan's season. He's lost 5 straight. He's now 5-5, and there isn't really a lot of talent behind you, so I think you'll still make the playoffs, but you got to pick up a couple wins here, man. And this is a week to do it. So this is why he's talking about his fantasy team so much. But let's get into the next game. And I don't feel like he's talking. This is going to be a disaster of a game. Jacksonville blows.
Big win there for the Niners, though, last week against the Rams. I thought they were going to get blown out. Jimmy G just continuing to save his job. Okay, now we've got the Bengals and the Raiders. Both of these squads started off so well. Everybody was like, okay, here we go. They're going to make the playoffs. Let's go. And the Raiders, I mean, we don't have to get into all their drama. Literally everything that could have went wrong for them went wrong. They were able to kind of weather the storm there a little bit, but now they got plowed by the Chiefs. Not great. The Bengals, very similar circumstances. They got plowed by the Browns a couple weeks ago. So, and I think they were on their bye last week. So, just they both teams need this win if they want to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. So, a lot riding on this contest. I'll start us off since I started us off with the Niners game and that one didn't really count. I think I got to go with Roman's pick here of Cincinnati. I think on paper they're a better team than the Raiders. But again, it would not surprise me in the slightest if the Raiders were able to win this game. But yeah, I think I got to go Bengals. I think these teams are very, very similar in many respects, but I think the Bengals defense is a little bit better. Their offense is a little bit better. So I think they're going to give them a slight edge in this matchup.
Maybe I'm just losing my mind, but it feels like the Raiders play every single game at home. I don't know what it is. I feel like every time I watch them, they're playing at home. So it's another home game for them, but it doesn't matter. They're going to lose. It's Cincinnati's a good team coming off the bye. Mixon, he should have a field day. We may talk about some of their players later. A little bit of a spoiler alert, but I think there's a lot of good fantasy options on the Cincinnati side. Pretty much anyone that you can start, you should against this Raiders defense that made Patrick Mahomes look like his former self big time last week.
Yeah, I'll be going with the Bengals as well. Mar Chase, Joe Burrow, big fans of theirs, and Joe Mixon as well. And I don't like the Raiders that much. I think Derek Carr is kind of a fraud still. I think the Raiders are frauds. I just don't think they're good.
I don't either.
I'll keep it at that.
Yeah. Simple as that, man. All right, let's go on to the next one.
This might be the game of the week. I was just about to say, Cowboys,
good
Chiefs,
game.
Potential Super Bowl preview here.
Could be
teams that could make it. The Chiefs finally seemed to wake up last week against the Raiders, and then the Cowboys. I forgot who they played, but I know they destroyed them. I can't think of the top
Falcons.
of my head. The Falcons. That's right. They blew them out. But yeah, this should be a great matchup. Jordan, who do you like?
I will be going with Kansas City Chiefs and Darrell Williams. No, Darrell Williams will be leading the charge, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Also, my fantasy team. I don't care. But Patty Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce will destroy this Dallas defense this week. And I think Zeke will have a good week. I think Dak will have a good week. Amari Cooper, still think he's fraudulent. CeeDee Lamb's easily the number one, in my opinion. And yeah, I have Kansas City. Don't like these teams that much. I hate Dallas, but I can deal with Kansas City, so go Chiefs.
I have never once picked against the Chiefs in one of these, so I'm gonna make it a first. I'm going with Dallas here, even though I honestly think Kansas City's probably gonna end up winning this game. I gotta go Dallas to be a little different than everybody else and give myself a chance to make up some ground on Roman and Drew here. We'll see where Drew goes, but I think Dallas has the better defense of the two teams. I think Zeke he's been looking good. They had that rushing attack. Dak's good. This could be an absolute shootout. This is honestly maybe the game I'm most excited for all season so far. I am so excited for this game. I think it's going to be a ton of fun to watch. It is in Kansas City. Could be a little cold, maybe get some snow. We'll see. But I'm really looking forward to it. It looks like Drew is going with me here. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, we're talking a lot of fantasy teams. We want to talk about some real fantasy players. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, who are on my fantasy team. They're going to feast on this Joe Kansas City calls a defense.
That's fair.
And you said, Chris, that they have the better defense. Dallas has the better defense. I think Dallas has the better offense, too. I think Dak Prescott, earlier this season, I traded Patrick Mahomes for Dak Prescott, and it's done nothing but greatness for my team so far. I think Dak, this season alone, might be a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. I think CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, they're very similar in terms of talent as well. Obviously, Ezekiel Elliott is better than whoever the heck the Chiefs have in their backfield. I will say the Chiefs probably have a little bit better offensive line, but the Cowboys will have a solid offensive line. Also, even Amari Cooper, I know you were disrespecting him a second ago, Jordan, but he's better than whoever the heck the Chiefs have as their wide receiver, too. And honestly, give me Dalton Schultz over Travis Kelce, too, at the tight end. I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
give me the Cowboys, though. For whatever reason, it seems like they always have one of those games where, like, all this – I don't like the Cowboys. They always have a win every year where that just all the stupid Cowboys fans always get super excited about, and they think it's going to lead them to the Super Bowl, which I don't necessarily think that'll happen, but I think this might be that win for them this year. And like you said, Chris, probably the game of the year so far.
I'm so excited. So freaking excited for this game. But let's get into this next one, which is another good matchup here.
I guess I'm not really super excited about this game. I guess if Kyler and Hopkins play, then yes. Yeah. But okay. Seattle, I think they're frauds, man. I think they're not a good football team. I think people think they're a better team than they are. I mean, for God's sakes, Russell Wilson, you're not supposed to throw to the other team when you get to the end zone. I mean, he did it 2-3 times last week. I'm already talking about it, and I'm surprised Roman went Seahawks here, but I wish we knew for sure if Kyler was playing or not. But I don't think it matters. I'm putting the Cardinals as the winner here. Yeah, I was kind of talking it up. Sorry to kind of go first. I think I stole your spot, Chris, but I'm going Cardinals because I think if Kyler plays, I think they're going to plow him. Even if Kyler doesn't play, I think they're still going to find a way to win because I don't think the Seahawks are a good football team. I think Russell Wilson is still hurt. I mean, I know he posts all those inspirational Instagram videos or whatever about him recovering and, I beat the odds 4 weeks. Great. I don't think he's actually healthy. I think he just thinks he's Mr. Unlimited and can do whatever he wants. That's not true. So I think he's still hurt. And I think you could see it last week. I think you're going to see it again this week against arguably a better defense than the Cardinals and the Packers. But now, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
All right. So this one's tough. So we got Arizona coming off an ugly loss against Carolina with what could be a similar roster this week without Kyler, without Hopkins, both guys, kind of up in the air. I think Kyler's going to play. I actually think he's going to play in this one. But Seattle desperately needs to win to keep any chance of a playoff run alive here. They're, I believe, 3-6 as of right now, and that is not even remotely close to being a playoff contender right now. They're a couple games back of a team like Atlanta. I expect Atlanta to lose this week, so Seattle could make up some ground if they're able to be victorious at home against Arizona in a must-win game. Regardless of all that being said, I'm going to take Arizona in this one. Both quarterbacks are injured, but I think Kyler's been resting for a long time. I expect him to come. I think he's going to play. I think Hop's going to miss. I think Kyler's going to play. And well, I'll leave the stage for Jordan to talk about his fantasy team some more because he's got Kyler and Hopkins. So why not talk about them for the next 20 minutes, man? Go for it.
All right, let's go with the Arizona Cardinals. I still think Drew's a little off about the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are a good team. They're in a tough division this year. I think Russell Wilson is a stud. I think DK Metcalf's a stud. Tyler Lockett, a little overrated, but I still think he's still think he's solid. But I still think the Seahawks are good. Their defense is still suspect, but I still think they're a good overall team. And I think they can win games. They've just lost close ones. And Cardinals, yeah, they better have Kyler and D-Hop playing, like Chris said. I need them this week badly. But, yeah, I think the Cardinals are just, like I said, my Super Bowl pick, them and the Ravens. And I just think the Cardinals are they're lethal, man. They're just good. They're just good.
They're very good. They're a very good football team. And I will say this real quick, too. Seahawks fans, you better enjoy Russell Wilson for these next, 6 weeks, because I think this might be his last season in Seattle as well. So enjoy Mr. Limited while you still
That'll
can.
be interesting.
I heard a rumor. This is more of kind of just a theoretical, but
Detroit.
He would be going to Green Bay in exchange for one Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers would be going to Seattle.
I would be gross. I would hate that. I don't think I would hate anything more.
I would be livid too.
That would be insane. But I will say,
Rodgers and DK would be fun.
That would be sick. Yeah. And you got Tyler Lockett too. I think fantasy value,
his stock
would go up
easily.
And honestly,
Gerald Everett.
Adams would be pretty similar. I mean, we're talking about Russ like he's an absolute bum in this situation, but I honestly think Adams' stock stays pretty much the same as well.
Yeah.
I think what happens if Rodgers goes to Seattle is they just start throwing the ball more than they do already. It's not Russ, Rodgers. I think they're pretty similar talent-wise. I think Rodgers is a little bit better, but I think they've both had stretches where they've been the better quarterback of the two of them. So, but I think if Rodgers was to go there, they start throwing the ball a lot more, and that's what makes those two wide receivers more valuable. And then I think we see Russ cook in Green Bay as well. So, I mean, if it happens, you're kind of talking me into being interested in it, because I think it would be kind of fun to see, like, if one of those two guys can win a Super Bowl with those respective teams, like maybe we finally figure out who the true better quarterback is of the two of them, because I think they are very close.
I agree.
If you want to get really crazy too, remember at the beginning of the year, this was supposed to be Diontae and Aaron Rodgers' last dance. What if Diontae ends up? Isn't he a free agent after this year?
I believe
so.
What if he signs in Seattle? Then you got Diontae, DK, and Lockett with Aaron Rodgers.
Give them the Super Bowl right now.
That would be crazy. Okay. Anyway, something that's actually going to happen this weekend: Steelers, Chargers. The Steelers tied last week. Pretty gross. This game's overall. These last two primetime games are just super. They should have put the Chiefs, Cowboys, and Cardinals, Seahawks into the primetime slots, not these two jokes of matchups. But we got Steelers, Chargers. Chris, who do you like between the Steelers and the Chargers?
Man, I'm not sure why you're hating on. I'm kind of excited for this game. I don't really see the hate in this game at all.
Not at all. Game's already won. No.
Look,
Mason Rudolph's playing, bro.
I don't know if he's going to play or not yet.
They already said he's playing.
All right. Well, then I'm going to take the Chargers because I was going to take the Steelers, but if that's bad,
I'm like 90% sure he's playing.
I'm going to take the Chargers and hedge my bets similarly to what we did for the last game. I think Kyler is going to play, so I'm going to take the Cardinals. In this case, I think Ben is going to be out. So I'm going to take the Chargers. But the Chargers have been in a free fall the last month. They have not been winning games. They're not letting Herbert throw the ball down the field at all. I think Mike Williams is also a little banged up right now, and that's maybe part of the reason why they haven't been throwing the ball down the field. This offense has not been as potent as it was in September, and the defense has honestly been getting cooked a little bit lately. So, I mean, they didn't look great against the Vikings last week. The Vikings dominated time and possession. I know that, run funnel defense they run is nice until other teams can run on you all game and then control the clock, like exactly what Dalvin Cook and co did last week. Pittsburgh doesn't have the offensive line to do that. Najee probably will have a solid game, but I think after last week, you got to take the Chargers, especially if Big Ben was in. I want it noted that I would be taking Pittsburgh in this.
Pittsburgh's garbage. Big Ben in, Big Ben out. They're garbage. That team is a joke. They're garbage. Did you hear me? Garbage. They're bad. They're not good. They're just not good. Big Ben throwing those check. You only like them because they throw at the Najee 90% of the time, bro. We get it. Cool. Diontae Johnson sucks. Defense. He's not good. Diontae Johnson's not that good in my opinion. Overrated. Chase Claypool. He's better talented-wise in my opinion. Same as Juju. I think Juju's a better overall talent, actually. Talent-wise, I'm taking Juju, but that's just me. He's better overall talent.
Joke.
You're a joke because you think Deontay's relevant. Anyway,
he's a good player. Okay, no.
He's overrated. He's
I have him
overrated.
already.
He's overrated.
How is
he's
he?
overrated.
In what way is
Every
he
year we
overrated?
did the same thing last year. We're like, oh, Diontae. He's either hurt or he's like okay.
playing
Or he's
in
blowing the game, or he's blowing
Oh
games.
my
Or
god,
he's
bro!
fumbling the ball.
Games.
Yeah.
He literally blew the game last week.
Everyone talks about his drop passes all the time. The guy has. I don't think he's. I know he hadn't dropped a pass for a really time. I honestly still think he hasn't. He had one fumble, and other than he's been a great player all year. He's missed like 1 week. He's a fantastic receiver, man. This dude, I mean, he can beat you deep, which he's did to. If you remember the Green Bay Packers game, one of the first plays of the game,
King, man. Kevin King, man. Kevin King.
I don't care who it was. It was a.
You don't care if it's Kevin King.
No,
my grandmother could beat him.
Okay.
And one-on-one coverage.
I
Kevin
mean,
King is garbage.
When you try to tell me that a guy that's had like 700 yards each of the last 3 seasons in Juju Smith-Schuster and a guy in Chase Claypool who catches 3 passes a game for this team is better than a receiver that gets 15 targets every week and always is open, then I have a problem with that.
Yes,
you know,
I can say that. No, I can say that, Chris.
You can say Diontae is overrated.
Mason Rudolph played that whole year, and last year, Big Ben was a joke. That guy sucked.
Was still good. He was still good, man.
When you do a 2-yard crosser, I'll be good.
And go look at the stats from. I can't believe we're talking about this right now, but go look at the stats from 2 years ago. Diontae's rookie season had a better season than Juju Smith-Schuster and Mason Rudolph. I don't want to hear it anymore. Juju was only relevant because he had Antonio Brown taking.
Who's a running back?
I don't care.
Benny Snell because James Conner was hurt again.
It does. Why is that
relevant? Suck, dude. Diontae sucks.
Okay. The dude is a top 20 receiver in the league. He's
not
definitely better than Claypool. He's definitely better, 10 times better than Juju Smith-Schuster.
I'd rather have injured Kenny Galladay than healthy Diontae.
So dumb. All right, whatever. We're going to let's get into the next game here. We can talk about Kenny Galladay if you'd like to.
No.
I don't think Deontay's that bad, but yes, I think
he's not that bad.
He's at least overrated in the Trenton T-Town fantasy leagues.
Facts. I don't think he's that bad, but I like getting Chris pissed off. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, people overrate him in our league, I feel, but that's just me. Anyway, we got the Giants and the Bucks. Again, I know the Giants are coming off a loss, but I feel like this is a fairly easy matchup to pick. It's kind of an anticlimactic ending to this, which otherwise has been a great pick-up. So, Jordan, you can finish us off here between the Bucks and the Giants.
Yeah, the GOAT, Tom Brady, TB12, gonna sling some touchdowns this weekend. Daniel Jones, hope he has a good week. I root for the guy, man. I root for the bummy QBs. I like the bummy QBs in the league.
Sam Darnold.
I'm a big fan. Sam Darnold fan. Daniel Jones fan. Who's the other one? I had another one too. I like the bummies.
Drew Lock.
Drew Lock. I like my bummy quarterbacks. They're fun to me. They're really fun. I'm a big Daniel Jones fan. I like the Giants personally. It's just they can never just win. They just never finish games. They never finish games.
They're not good.
No, they're not. They're not. I think they're good. They're a good enough team to stay in a game, but they're never a good enough team to win a game.
Right. I agree with that, and I have Tampa Bay in this one. And if you remember, this was actually a Monday night game last season at about a similar time of the year, and it actually was a pretty good game. So I think this one could be pretty close. It is in Tampa Bay. I believe last year might have been in New York. I actually am almost certain it was in New York.
Yes,
I think Daniel Jones will have a solid game. Saquon, you might have him back. You should have Kenny G out there, Shepard, Tony. Their offense is going to move the ball in this game, in my opinion. I think they're going to put up a fight, but inevitably, I expect the Bucks to have a nice get-right game this week. I think they'll put up some major offensive numbers.
I don't have really anything to add. Tampa Bay is a better team. I will say the Giants have always been Tom Brady's boogeyman, so there's some concern there if you're a Bucks fan. But at the same time, I think Buccaneers are overall a better team than the Giants. So, I got them winning this matchup. Does anybody have anything else they want to add for the pick'em this week before we get into the fantasy favorites of the week?
I say we jump into the picks.
All right. If not, let's have Chris start us off here. Who's your first fantasy pick?
Well, I'll give you Romans really quick. We got Robbie Anderson and Darrell Williams. Williams, obviously, is if Clyde is out. I like that pick. I think he's going to have a solid game against Dallas. And then Robbie Anderson. It's a little bit of a deeper one. Maybe you can pick him up off your waivers, but Washington can't stop anybody through the air. I think Robbie or DJ Moore could be decent options here. And I'll give you one of my picks right now. I'm staying in that same game, and I'm taking the quarterback, Cam freaking Newton. Baby.
Come on.
Cam Newton, guy is going to eat against this defense. This defense is not good. And I am actually considering, and this is not a move I've told anybody, I picked up Cam Newton in fantasy this week, and I have him on my bench. I might start him over Jalen Hurts this week in that tough New Orleans matchup. I just for fun, I'm playing Johnny. His team sucks. I expect to win. I could throw Cam Newton out there, and honestly, he might have a great game, man. I think he's a low-end QB1, a guy that should be started and definitely can be, especially if you got Matthew Stafford. That's a perfect fill-in, getting Cam Newton off the waivers and throwing him in your starting lineup. Great upside, great pick there.
I agree. It's a good pick.
Yeah, I was gonna pick that, so we got to tilt now and find a different pick. So Jordan, who's your new? Oh wait, you just want to add Chris?
No, I was just gonna say, let Jordan go now and give us one of his picks, then you can give us both yours right after that.
I think this is a pretty solid pick. I think it's a sleeper pick this week. He was on my fantasy team once. Did trade him away.
Of course he was.
I will be going with James Conner this week. I think Seattle's run defense is garbage, which it is. It's really bad. And I think James Conner obviously can be the bell cow this week. Chase Edmonds out. Who's the other guy?
Benjamin.
Benjamin, yeah, he's not bad, but he's not going to get the playing time like James Conner. James Conner used to be a really good running back, actually. I think he's still solid. He's getting the playing time now, which he deserved in Pittsburgh, but they didn't really give it to him that much. They gave Benny Smell. Benny Smell.
No, that's a better name for him.
Benny Smell playing time too, but I'm gonna go with James Conner this week. I think he'll have a good week in Seattle. He'll catch the ball. He'll probably have a touchdown or two, and yeah, we'll go with it. Especially with Kyler and D-Hop out as well. I think James Conner will do very good.
Yeah. The only thing I disagree with is that this is a sleeper pick. I think that James Conner needs to be in your lineup this week. I think he's an RB1. To be honest,
true.
The Seattle defense just got shredded by A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. Honestly, even though he went out with the injury, he had like 10 fantasy points in like a quarter, and then Dillon added another 30. So they just shredded this team on the ground. I think Conner, regardless if Kyler and or Hopkins are both out or in, I think that James Conner is a smash play and definitely a low-end number one running back. I'd be stunned if he doesn't get in the end zone this week, and I think he'll catch a few passes as well. So definitely like the pick there. Drew, I know you've been tilting, but let's hear both your picks here, man.
Okay, so the first one, that's the guy that I wasn't going to say because of Cam Newton, but he's been pretty underrated. He got off to a really fire start to start the year, and then he kind of cooled down, and then he got his quarterback back, and he's been kind of good. And he's got a really juicy matchup this week. I know I said they were going to the Super Bowl this year, but the Tennessee Titans do not have a great defense. Overall, it's not as bad as it was last year, but it's not great, and especially against wide receivers, it's the 32nd against fantasy wide receivers, at least in terms of PPR. So I'm going with Brandon Cooks as a fantasy pick of the week because he's solid, and I think they're going to be down this game a lot. They're going to have to throw the ball. Texans don't have a ton of options, so purely because of a volume point of view, I think that Cooks is going to be a nice play. It's a little off the board, I know, but I feel like you can throw him in your flex or your wide receiver 2 spot and feel pretty confident about it this week.
See, again, the only thing I disagree with is that this is not off the board or anything, because I think he's going to be a good play this week. I think he's a guy that needs to be in your lineup. Maybe he's not the flashiest name if that's kind of what you're getting up at Tennessee. Bleeds points to the receiver position. I think you got to start him as a high-end to mid-tier wide receiver too. Definitely a guy that I want in my lineups. Jordan, got anything to add?
No, I actually like the pick a lot, actually. I think Brandon Cooks is obviously wide receiver 1 in Houston. And he's a solid receiver to have on your team, bench wise or even flex spot.
Yeah. All right, Drew, give us your other one, man.
Next up, this is a guy who maybe I'm just an idiot, which is probably true, but I feel like he's getting zero media buzz or anything like that, and maybe it's just based on what I've been listening or whatever. But he's been having a terrific season. He's currently the wide receiver 6 on ESPN PPR Fantasy, which was shocking to me. And he's a guy who I know, Chris, you used to be a really big fan of him. I know you called for his breakout last season. It didn't happen. But they have a nice matchup this week against a weak Bears defense, 28th against wide receivers. And that's Marquise Hollywood Brown. Again, I might just be missing this because I didn't think he was – I know he was better. I didn't know he was sick. But, he's like I said, he's number 6 fantasy receiver currently, averaging 17 points a game, which is insane. He had a little bit of an off week last week, but he still gets double-digit targets consistently. And yeah, I just wanted to give him a shout out. I know he might be, again, I might just because I'm just missing the talk around him, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of buzz as a guy who's currently a wide receiver 1 in fantasy. I don't really see the buzz around him that much, but he's been really, really good this year. I think he's going to be really good again this week as well. I don't think we've talked about him on this show really at all. So I'm going with Hollywood Brown.
I think I might have picked him earlier in the year once, and I think he might have had a blow up game in that one. So if I did, great call by me earlier in the year. But I love that you're giving some love to the wide receiver 2 for the Baltimore Ravens. I think that was really intelligent of you. Obviously, I'm talking about the real wide receiver 1 there, Rashad Bateman, who is clearly better than Hollywood Brown, in my opinion. Even though I do like Hollywood, I think he's more of that field stretching deep threat, that Tyler Lockett to DK Metcalf kind of thing, where he's still a great player, great play. I think he could be a wide receiver 2 this week. He's a guy that gets a ton of targets, and in all reality, still is seeing more targets than Rashad Bateman so far. I just think Bateman's looked really good with the opportunities he's had. And he continues to get more of them. So I think both of those guys are honestly very startable. Obviously, I would rather start Hollywood still for now, but it's a good pick. He has been very good this season. Jordan, do you have anything to add before I get into my last one?
No, I actually like to pick a lot. I like Hollywood. I think he's a good receiver. He gets a lot of targets. I think him and Lamar are just more comfortable together right now than him and Bateman. So that's why I think he's getting more targets.
Yeah, they'll get there, man. I'm not too worried about that. But I will get into my last pick here, and it's a guy that I don't believe has been mentioned one time on the pick'em, but it's a guy that I think I'm going to bring some attention to coming off the bye week, playing the Las Vegas Raiders, and that is T. Higgins, the wide receiver 2 for the Cincinnati Bengals. I know it's a guy that really hasn't had a great season. He honestly hasn't been that bad. If you look at it, I think I saw something where he's tied for targets with Jamar Chase, I think this year. You know, obviously Chase is getting the big plays, but Higgins is not some scrub receiver out there. This guy was drafted basically in the first round last year, the first pick of the second round. He's a good player. I think he's been almost left for dead in fantasy, and I think this is going to be a good week for him. I think they're going to have to throw the ball in this game. I think the Raiders defense stinks. It looked really bad against Mahomes, Reek, Kelsey. There was plenty of Darrell Williams, Moss, the DB had 100 yards through the air. I think this is a perfect game off the bye to get him a little more involved. I think Chase is obviously a guy that you're still playing him over T. I think T's a wide receiver 3, but a guy that I think actually is going to have a big week.
Yeah, I like that pick overall. Again, he's a guy who really kind of burst out into the scene last year. Everybody was super high on him, and then he kind of cooled off. Hasn't had a great season this year, but still not as terrible as people think. I think he was drafted too early in drafts. I think that might be the problem. I think people were taking him as like a wide receiver 2 solid, and more he's better suited as like a flex piece. But
yeah,
I do like the matchup this week, and I do think he's definitely been better than Tyler Boyd for sure. And I think going into the year, there was some like, oh, is it Boyd or is it Higgins? I think Higgins is clearly the guy. And I think especially if you have him in Dynasty, I think you're still going to be in a good spot, because I think as him and Burrow firm their connection, as the Cincinnati team as a whole gets better, I think Higgins is going to get better also. So overall, I like the pick.
Yeah, I mean, you have to factor in, Burrow and him didn't play a ton of games together in their rookie year because Burrow went down with the injury pretty early, and Higgins also has missed some time this year. So it's expected that these two aren't always on the same page, whereas he is with a guy like Jamar Chase. And Chase, like I said, still a clear wide receiver 1, whereas Higgins is not on that level. But as a guy that I'd be trying to trade for, if you need a player to flex this week, I think Higgins I think he could have a really nice week this week. I'll probably put him in my my FanDuel lineup or something like that this week, because I think he's going to have a great week. But Jordan, let's hear your last pick here, man, and we'll wrap it up.
I'm kind of stuck between 2 guys.
Say them both.
I will say them both, actually. All right. I'll go with my safer pick right now. I know one of you guys said his opposing teammate already, but I will be going with DJ Moore, because I think it'll be a new quarterback, new scheme a little bit. Cam, I think he's obviously a better thrower than PJ Walker. And I think they'll go a little bit shorter, and I think DJ Moore is that guy for quick routes and that. So I think DJ Moore will have a good week this week, fantasy-wise, personally. And I definitely recommend playing him. Obviously, I think Robbie will do good, but I think DJ Moore will have a good week this week.
I agree. I think you can say the other guy too.
Yeah, that big dog. And this one's kind of out of pocket, this pick. Okay. But I'll be going with a night game against Tampa Bay. I'll be going with my guy, Kadarius Toney. I think he might shred Tampa Bay this week. I don't know why. It's just Kenny G's questionable, and he'll get covered the most, obviously, if he does play. And Sterling Shepard's still out. Darius Slayton, that guy is. You might as well just put a bag over, like covering him. He's garbage. And I really like Kadarius Toney. I think he's gonna have a good week this week. I think no one on that team is gonna be able to guard him. Honestly, he's too shifty for anyone. And if Daniel Jones actually wants to be accurate for once in his life, which I think he actually has been pretty solid this year, throw him the ball. He will give you yards, and I think he'll end with a touchdown. Probably have like 5 catches, 6 yards, and a touchdown, in my opinion.
I love you getting in depth here with the actual projection for Kadarius Toney this week. But yeah, I'll talk about both of them really quick, and I'll let Drew go. DJ Moore was one of my alternates for mine. I almost took him, but I decided to go Cam because Robbie had already been said by Roman prior to our pick'em in general. I think Moore is going to have a nice bounce back week. He's been really bad lately, but I think he's going to have. I think you start him this week. I think he's going to have a nice week. And then the thing with Kadarius Toney is if Kenny G misses or if Sterling Shepard misses, I think he's a great play. I think I 100% agree with you. But if they're both in there, especially with Sterling Shepard in there, I don't think he's going to do anything really special. I think Shepard and Toney. I think Toney kind of plays the Shepard role. I went in not really liking Toney, so I'm not trying to sound like a hater because I actually agree with you. He should be out there and should be getting these targets. But for some reason, when Shepard and Slayton and Kenny are all out there, this dude is never on the field, and I don't understand why. I think he's been he's proven me wrong already. He's been inconsistent in his rookie year, which is expected. But he's shown a lot of flash. He had that big game a few weeks ago where he had like 180 yards. So I like him, but you really got to monitor those practice reports with the other guys if you put them in. One of those Kenny, Slayton, Shepard, a combination of those guys has to miss the game for me, I think, and then he'll be good.
Not bad.
I really don't have too much to add. I feel like you guys have really fleshed it out. I don't have really any new opinions or comments. I like both those picks. And Toney, he's been pretty up and down, but again, as Chris mentioned, if those guys don't play, then he has shown that he can't fill that role. But when those guys do play, the targets just aren't there and he can't be as successful. But yeah, so this has been a really fun episode. Jordan, thanks again for being the first guest that we've ever had on the Zone Defense podcast. So that's very, very cool. But yeah, once again, we are the Zone Defense podcast. We do these episodes of the NFL every single week, along with fantasy analysis and breaking news. So be sure you subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Spotify and Twitter at Zone Defense Pod, and search us on Apple Podcasts. Smash that like button down below. Leave a comment. Let us know how you think Jordan did on this episode. Let us know how you think about our picks, our fantasy picks, all that fun stuff. We love reading the comments and try to respond to them as quickly as we can. But once again, thank you for listening to this episode, and we'll see you next time.
Bring me back, people. See ya.